if you want to make something really big,
Not just any plonk. So how do they choose what they want to drink?
you win the US, you win the world.
Well, there's one wine app, Vivino. It has 30 million
So
users.
it's called Vivino.
A fantastic app to pick the best wine.
Heini Zachariassen is the founder of Vivino. It's the biggest wine app in the world, isn't it?
It is by far the biggest wine app in the
You
world.
can have that plug for free.
I think I'm an entrepreneur because I like building stuff. You know, from the day we played with Legos as kids, I think that as soon as it was built, we didn't want to play with it anymore. I think that's still the case. For me, it's all about the process of building, the process of creating something. That's what I really enjoy, and you can build things that people appreciate. So let's get going. I'm going to introduce Vivino and myself here to begin with. Heini is my name, and I guess when they named me Heini, they didn't know I was going to move to the US. But 45 years old, 3 children, 1 wife, and I'm definitely an entrepreneur. I've been building companies ever since I sort of got into my professional career, and that's what I really love to do. Wine is super duper difficult. Most people have no clue about this, so that's what we set out to do, to fix that problem. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's fine. I was born on a rock in the middle of the North Atlantic, and others are born next to Stanford University in the middle of Silicon Valley. So, you know, I felt like that was not the best ticket I got right there. The Faroe Islands are located between Scotland and Iceland in the middle of the North Atlantic. As you get older, you look back and think about, hey, what was that like? And well, I personally think it was an amazing place to grow up. Amazing place with a very rich culture. Our food, you can't make it anywhere else, and you can't get it anywhere else. We do a lot of fermented food, fermented lamb, fermented fish, and dry fish, and so on. It's just very unique. One of the most beautiful places in the world, I think. Green like you've never seen it before, but you also pay for that with a lot of rain. It's very nice in the summer and so on, but it is dark. And we went to school in the winter, and you get there at 8 and it's dark. You go home at 3, it's also dark. It is, somehow maybe it builds character. Where I grew up, it was a fishing society, right? So we had maybe 2 kinds of wines, maybe a red and a white, that was about it. And when I sort of grow up and see this wall of wine, I think, what do I do? I felt that I had a problem. When I looked at this wall of wine, I felt like, what the heck do I pick? What's good, what's bad? There are fancy labels, there are ugly labels. Which one do I buy? And for me, it made me feel stupid because I didn't know a lot about wine.
You try on the market this.
The original idea was, hey, can we build this massive database of all wines in the world? Most people that knew wine, they said, no, you can't do that. You can focus on Bordeaux and do Bordeaux or do Burgundy. We just said, whatever, we'll just get started, and we want to do this, we're going to go for it.
Det her Bitte, han blå dragten.
20 år gammal, ja. Så här sitter där.
Vad känns så just så det.
Och här Heini Johan, han förklarar att han har USA i blån, han finns en hatt det. Han var fitter och god alltså. Han växte upp samman vid en äldre badge kan man säga. Så här var sin jag löv runt om. Ja, Lego var nekve av i husen, så Heini de vel å spille med Lego og Playmobil. Det var alt spennende at sette klosser sammen og få åker på sjur. Det har også fyllt en nekve i hans spill i univers. Sonja? Doch kan jeg ta gå, ta komme, forstår du det? Skal jeg sitte et år da, for Heini? Det en som har til å vise til Orrei, altså. Han tar det godt at ligge fram vi og røyne seg og så veis. Ja, det blir sporter. Vi har bøttenkjøtten klarer så vel. Hva skal Sverige som er? Det var en av høvdsreglene her om at vi etter klant 6. Tannsikkerheten var viktig, altså. Og så satt når han større teenager eller halvvaksen, så kommer en dame og bor til.
Jeg synes, jeg fik den til terapi der.
Og 95? Ja.
Ja.
I met my wife at a party. I think it was like a 60s parties, and I didn't have a lot of beard back then, so I think I had actually drawn some sideburns on my side here, and apparently she was very attracted by that. For young people growing up in the Faroe Islands, you know, you can take your education to a certain level. High school's fine. There is some university there, but it's relatively limited. So if you want to get some more education, you have to move, and the obvious choice is usually Denmark, and we went down that route. Yeah, tak meget gerne. We moved to Denmark in '94. I was going abroad to study in college. I think we must have gotten married in '98 or something. That's my thinking. We might have to take that again. So we got married in '99 in Denmark and had a great party. We took some of the traditions from the Faroe Islands with us, and one of the things we do is we drink aquavit, which is schnapps, and we drink a hell of a lot of it, to be honest. So that was a lot of fun, and that definitely went on all night. We have 3 kids. Barbara is the oldest, Bastian's in the middle, and Paul is the youngest.
Jeg tycker vi har en känsla som man bara mest en affär. Det är först och främst hellre en liten tog någon lutta på att det har alltid är det något av mest fantastiska är när jag har uppleva.
Så där. Ska du göra det? Ska du göra det? Nej.
Jag vill göra det. Nej, vi spelar.
Vad spelar du? Okay.
I think becoming a father is one of the biggest things in your life.
Så lyssnar vi lite till fan.
Those who don't look like us or worship like we do.
It just feels like everything changes, and up till this day, you were yourself and you had to take care of yourself. But as soon as you become a parent, your job is clearly to protect that person. I think I found out pretty early I like to build stuff. What drives me is to create something that isn't there, and I think that's amazing. When I was a kid, you know, growing up in a society with a lot of boats and a lot of fishing, I wanted to be a captain, right? During college, I started with a fellow student. We started doing some web pages and design for companies, sort of whatever was hot at the times. The internet was a big deal back then, so we started out with that. Theis and I met each other when Langgaard was started. Vi mødtes første gang op hos Morten ude i Frederiksberg.
Jeg tror, det var langt ude på Christianshavn, hvor du kom ind der. Morten kommer bare ind med den her idé om, at nu skal vi have en direktør ind i stedet for mig. Altså, så kommer han kraftigt ind med den her færing med overskæg.
Ja, det er
jeg sad bare og tænkte, shit mand, endnu en af Mortens skøre idéer.
Men det sjove er, ved du hvorfor? Han har set et interview på tv, hvor jeg var med, og så skrev han med det samme.
Det er typisk. Han har set det på tv. Og så er det så tænker han på. Hvor har du fundet ham ind?
12 sekunders interview, så han er tydeligvis kvalificeret. Det er der alting. Morten laver en deal, Theis laver et produkt, Heini prøver at lave en business.
Ja.
We worked together for many, many years, and I think we were both a little bit tired at Langgaard. Learned a lot, but software security was never a passion of mine. I wanted to do something else. I think Theis felt the same way. If you think about it, the wine industry has been around for literally thousands and thousands of years. And they've done things in the same way for thousands of years. Obviously, people love to drink wine, but walking into a supermarket and figuring out what to buy can be really, really difficult. You know, maybe you talk to a clerk and they have, maybe a bias, limited knowledge. Also, when people walk into a store, they're limited by the supply that's in that particular store. What if you're looking for something specific within a specific price point? We really want to change the way people select and buy wine. What we're really doing here is disrupting an industry that has done the same thing for many, many years.
Heini told me about the idea. This was almost straight after he had stopped in Langgaard. And he told me about this idea, and it was a very Heini-ish idea. And I felt it was like, maybe it's a good idea. I don't know. I wasn't really excited about it. This was nothing to do with an app or taking a photo. But Heini was very into it, and he spent quite a lot of time building that foundation of a database.
Vivino started in my basement, just trying to figure out what to build, how to build it, and pretty quickly convinced Theis to get going. Then we moved into a tiny office at the IT University of Copenhagen. Vi har skrivstov her av Vito Universitet nå. Så jeg tenkte at her små virker, sort universitetsmiljø her.
Ja, og du har selv en fyrtøkkepen. Hvordan er du?
Hon heter Vivino, og vi tenker vi at gjøre en vindarabase. Her er en app knytt til, her vi bruker smarte teknologi til at kjenne vinlabels.
Ja, og har du gode vaner for fremman? Altså, er det store planer?
Vi har sånn øyla store ambisjoner. Vi tror at vi kommer komme inn og teka. Vi får etter en bestemt plassering her. Vi mener vi kommer gjøre med de beste win-apps i Heini. Det tar vi ferdig. It's about being there at the right time. Some of these things seem kind of basic now, but the smartphone had just arrived, started to penetrate. The cameras were good, and they were all online. And that those technologies came together, and then suddenly you could build an app like this where you can scan a bottle of wine and you can get the information. So that was a big change that happened right there. 1-2 years later, somebody else would have done it. When the technology came up where you could actually take a picture of a wine label and get all the information, that was like, holy crap, this is amazing, we can do this. Så ser du på det som aller viktigste produkter, ofte det ikke godkjent. Vi gjør selvsagt iPhone til Apple tar vel aldri gjort features. Apple tar en øyne design, og looks alt fucking logo. The app was pretty bad from day one. It was basically like a frame with HTML inside. It was slow and didn't really react and didn't really know a lot of wine either. Remember this green thing, which wasn't that user-friendly. Obviously, we thought that was amazing.
Big thing that I was thinking we could look at from a design perspective are these, like, what if we do some radical tests on the shop?
You would scan a wine, and first of all, we wouldn't recognize it because we didn't have any photos of it. If we recognized it, we couldn't tell you anything interesting about it because we didn't have any users who had given it reviews or ratings and so on. And that was really what you would call a catch-22 of this concept. You can't get any users on the product without having great content, and you don't have any content without having a lot of users. Fortunately, we were able to break that circle by creating a product that was interesting enough for enough people to try keep using it.
We figured out quickly what people wanted. We just didn't have it. So people wanted to know if this wine was good, what is it good, what's the rating and so on, but we had none of that.
Hver vi skulle ut og kjøpe, så tjekket vi sin telefon ved kamera, og tok mynter av alle vinflaskene som var. Så jeg og bøttene, vi slapp å kjøpe matvørene, og han var her som vinner var og tok mynter av det.
We tried to build that data, and for instance, we did a label competition where we actually built this very, very small app where people could take pictures of labels. All it did was just, you could win a corkscrew, that was it. And some of those small things sort of built the database. So when we released, things were flat for a very, very long time. We spent a year and a half working our ass off with very little growth of any kind. You gotta have faith. You gotta have very, very strong faith, and you need the support from somebody else. Say, yeah, sure, we believe in this.
In many ways, the US competition was doing better than us. We looked at the numbers, and we could see they were getting featured by Apple a lot more than we did.
Det er så fucking chokkerende, undskyld mig. Prøv at se vores rank her, ikke? Vi ligger betydeligt bedre end dem, men fordi de er derovre, jamen så får de features hele tiden.
Vi har endnu ikke fået en feature.
Nej, præcis. Og de har fået...
You'd also look at how many apps have made it really, really big out of Denmark. Global phenomena, and there aren't that many. So the question is really, can you do this from Denmark, or do you have to be like in the tech capital of the world, Silicon Valley?
Electable det er 4 drenge i San Francisco, og det er lige det, de godt.
De følger drejebogen.
Ja.
Ikke sådan nogle halvgamle fyre fra København.
I think as a kid, I really wish that he traveled less.
Bastian helt at pappens har arbeidet i lufthavnen. Tror at vi alltid skulle i lufthavnen etter honom.
I made up these little games with the doors opening to kind of just to see if he came out.
Hello. How goes? Jeg finner hotel til hotellen Jan Jakobsen Real. Det er super cool. Så kjølt knapp.
Ja. Er det pynt opp ljoler? Det testet det rei.
Ja, it's pretty nice, huh? Sounds cool, though. Ja.
Kors. Korstalje om at skolen.
One latrine. Okay. When you work hard and travel quite a bit, you will definitely miss things here and there. Like last year, I said to Paula, hey, I'm not going to make your birthday this year. And she said, well, you missed it last year too. So great.
I feel like my whole life, I feel like he's always been working at Vivino, because I'm pretty sure he started it when I was 4, and I don't really remember back then.
It took us almost 2 years, year and a half or so, to really start getting product market fit. Around, I think, April 2012, we started really seeing traction, a lot more installs, a lot more usage, and the ball started rolling. Like, we grew 20x in a few months. It's like, okay, we got something here. Somebody just launching the app and scanning 20 wines, like, that's amazing. Like, it doesn't take that much.
E le saca la foto.
Investors and other people say, oh, there's something here. They can tell that something's up. And we start getting a lot of calls from those people.
So the very first investment we got into Vivino was from Janus Friis. He's a co-founder of Skype. It was really great for us to get that name on board because we could kind of point to it and say, hey, this guy believes in us.
After Janus Friis joined us, we did a round with seed capital, and then we did our big A round led by Balderton Capital in London and Creandum out of Stockholm, just over $10 million. At that point, we realized, okay, we have people that really believe in what we're doing, and we can take bigger bets. When I look back at what they saw, I thought, like, holy crap, how could you ever believe in this? This was not much. So I really, some of those early stages was like, yeah, well done, well spotted.
When we got investors on board in Vivino, they sent us a very clear message that we have to win in the US.
Obviously, we need to build a business in the US. You know, I'd never built a business in the US before, so that was a challenge. And if things didn't work in the US, then what? You need a completely different level of planning.
Så vi kører US, og vi kører DK. Så siger vi, du flytter helt sikkert derover.
Fedt.
Ja. Så er det engineering, produkt.
No, generally, this is a big bet for a company our size. If things didn't work in the US, then what? Do we roll back? This could easily break our back. Boom.
Og så har vi lige 9 timers tidsforskel.
Ja, det er en del. Og 10 timers fly.
Og 10 timers fly.
Ja, faktisk 11.
We were still in a fierce battle of becoming the biggest and the best. And we decided, you know, we should really be over here. And this is, when you think about it, it's quite a sweet spot. You have Silicon Valley just to the south of us, and you have Napa Valley just to the north of us. So we're in the middle of what makes a lot of sense for a wine app. You win the US, you win the world. In order to do that, you have to be here.
Could have decided to take everybody and say, okay, now we move the whole company to San Francisco. But we decided that we would keep an office in Copenhagen, and then Heini would move to San Francisco and really start the team there. I was very strongly opposed to moving, both for personal and professional reasons. I had my family here in Copenhagen. I had small kids. They were about to start in school. I really liked the idea of having them here in Denmark. I really like Copenhagen.
For me, I'm not going to sit with my grandkids on my lap and say, we had the opportunity to move to the US to try and build something big, and say, yeah, we didn't go for it. Like, that's not going to happen. I had to look at the family, and is this good for them? And I think moving to California and seeing what life is like here, I think it's a privilege. Doesn't mean it's easy.
I remember texting my best friend, Lucas, and I said, hey, we made this decision to move to the United States. And it seemed like he actually understood what that meant more than I did. So he called me right away, and We talked for a bit, and that made me understand a little bit more of what it really meant.
Det helt kanske det var så spännande intill några dagar att så var det lukka som check upp för dem att vad det nu mamma och pappa har funnit på.
The day at the airport was like insane because you were thinking like you have a great home in Copenhagen, you have good friends and everything's good. But then the morning you go, it's like, what the hell are you doing? So that made an impression for sure. That's for sure.
You can't help but become a little bit mad at your parents when they decide that you have to say goodbye to all your friends.
Jeg har et godt arbeid i Danmark, jeg har arbeidet i fotla tøy, og det var lukket som mye ting. Her nu er det knappt bare bæra i Gasarøyen en mamma, og det er det største arbeidet, men da man kommer fra Danmark, og tar din identitet til nesten ditt arbeid. Og her er det lukket som huset, mævren, bøttene.
She's accepted that there could be an email coming in 3 minutes and I'll jump on a plane in 2 hours.
Kompromis er nok vært på at det er mer hans karriere enn min. Jeg flyttet til San Francisco. Det var nok ikke det aller nemmeste vi da gjørs til Løvnen. Bøttene Johan var jo, Barbara var 16 år på det tidspunktet, Bastian var 12 og Paula var 20 år. Vi sendte Pauli i skolen første dagen, annan klasse her som ikke stod i engst. Og det var ikke særlig stort litt over.
I was pushed into the classroom and I refused to go. And I cried all day.
No, I can still see it. I can still see through the classroom and see her sitting there. And that was tough.
Vi alvor henne bare her på. Vi fyllde henne til horene, så kom læreren ut, tok mot henne, og så var det bare bye-bye-foreldre.
I felt very uncomfortable because people were just staring at me, and it was kind of embarrassing that I didn't talk at all.
Jeg havde det umedeligt hardt ved at sutte henne mistrøs på den måten som hun gjør det.
As we decided to move, my dad wanted to keep me busy, and he always wanted me to have kind of my own thing. So he really persuaded me to start writing a blog. He thought it was going to be really interesting for other people to read.
I just don't look backwards. I only think ahead. And I live in the moment, and this is where we are, deal with it. But for Barbara, it was really difficult.
The first couple of months that we lived here, I never had lunch plans or lunch with anyone. I ended up making Starbucks like my go-to place. I would just go there. They had Wi-Fi, so I could talk to my friends from Denmark. The first year, I was very angry with my parents because of the move.
Det som tänkte Barbara mest halvtid var att vi lyckas med att teacha den här beslutningen vid att flytta till San Francisco och ta henne väck från sin vinkon i Danmark.
I had to reestablish myself because everyone at home knew exactly who I was, and I had to become this other person, but I was also too scared to talk and prove that I actually had a personality, and I just sat quietly. So the self-esteem was at its lowest ever. It did feel like they had kind of ruined my life.
I was excited. I was like, oh, this is amazing. You're going to go to this high school. I didn't maybe think about that she was going to walk into a place where she knew nobody and have to go to school there, and that's tough. What I think about children, if there's any trauma that you give kids, that's overprotecting them and them not being able to handle the world.
I think for the majority of my blog posts, I tried to keep it really positive and only really focus on the good things that happened to me. And I specifically remember my blog post about my first birthday. It was 2 weeks, I think, after we'd moved, so very, very soon after. Yep, it's my birthday, at least for a little bit longer. I've had such a great day. Like I mentioned in my previous birthday post, my sweet friends surprised me with cupcakes. It was so nice. My sweet neighbor stood ready with the prettiest cake. On my blog, I made it seem like it was a really, really good day, and rereading it back now, I don't remember that birthday whatsoever like I wrote it in the blog. I went home and just cried that night. It was a very, very bad birthday. I think those first days were just really confusing for me and very sad. And then I kind of let my true emotions out. I'm really trying. It's really bad over here. Every day I walk around with a lump in my throat and a knot in my stomach. My confidence is lower than ever before. I'm so insecure. I'm stuck here. I miss Denmark so much. I miss my friends so much.
My wife and I were waking up in bed, and a few people had pinged us, and we look at our phones like, holy shit, she wrote something, and that was just, tough.
Can you explain?
Well, she's just as she was struggling and how hard it had been, so, yeah, it's tough.
What kind of struggle?
I think it was socially, she missed her friends and stuff. Yeah.
Jeg så ikke bare gråta som jeg som hun gjør da, og være så kjett av det. Ta meg jeg sier, ta hoksa en ekvar ferner om at det er verda retta som vi gjør det. Om vi kunne ha gjort det på en annan måte. Så jeg græt nek, ja. Jeg græt rettelig nek på begynnelsen.
I can't remember that many times where I needed him, but I do feel that my mom needed him sometimes. So I remember when my brother wanted to have a prom party, and my mom had to make the decision by herself. I think she could have definitely used my dad's help.
So these things happen, unfortunately, but it's about, being with them as much as you can, and then you build up some tolerance for something like that happening once in a while. I think it depends a lot on the personality. How do you handle getting to a new place? For me, I just move ahead. I just do what I have to do. And we started out it was all on the business side, marketing, business development, and so on. So I started hiring those people and built a small office, built it from nowhere, and have quite a big team here now. So the wine market is very interesting. Obviously, you're all in this market, but people sometimes forget how massively big it is. Like, a lot of these markets have been disrupted. Wine really hasn't. We're now building the world's biggest marketplace for wine, where consumers will meet producers, retailers, and can buy any wine they want. We want to build that change that Amazon did for books and a lot of other products. We want to make buying wine online better, and we're going to change that. What's next for Vivino is building a marketplace that is run extremely well operationally, and that's just not what I like the most, and probably not what I'm best at. What I've also learned in my career is that if there's any way you can hire somebody that has done something before, that's a real shortcut to get it done right. And so when we found Chris and looked at his experience, yeah, this guy could really help us and like get things moving faster.
I think my experience in e-commerce was why I was hired at Vivino. What makes a marketplace work? And a marketplace is one where you have both sellers and buyers, and the marketplace brings the two together. So when I looked at the company, I felt like, wow, this business is done really well, despite the fact that they haven't done this, and this.
It was very much about Heini being great at building a company from, let's say, 0 to 100 employees. And he's probably not the best person in the world to take it from 100 to 500. He knows that.
Personally, like the first month, it was even though I kept my face on the inside, like this was not easy.
My background is really one in e-commerce. I've been in the e-commerce business for the last 22 years. I worked for a bunch of small startups before I got to eBay. And the last 8 years I was at eBay, I ran a company called StubHub. And StubHub is the world's largest online ticket marketplace.
We said, you know, this is what we want. What I do now is, the internal title is Chief Evangelist, which means talking to people about Vivino, doing press, speaking at conferences, all those things. I do a lot of that. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for having me. Thank you. Jeg skal smage for mig. Nu skal vi lade os, hvad vi forstand på i. Den hedder Sincere. Jeg tror, du sagde Sincere.
Okay. Ikke Sincere, nej.
Jeg tænker også, det var da mærkeligt at kalde det det.
Det ville være en mærkelig blanding.
Wow, den er meget let, vel?
Jeg kan huske, at jeg kom over til jer 6 måneder efter, vi havde flyttet over. Ja. Du var skide glad, og det var sjovt det hele og så videre. Og så snakkede jeg med Maibritt, ja. Og hun sagde bare, jamen altså, Barbara er ked af det, fordi hun har ikke nogen af sine veninder herovre. Bastian ved jeg ikke, hvordan det går, fordi han siger ikke noget. Og Paula, hun kan ikke sproget, hun kan ikke snakke med nogen, og hun ved ikke, hvad der foregår i skolen. Og jeg sidder her alene med det, fordi Heini, han er på kontoret og har det sjovt med Vivino.
Så ikke siger, han har det sjovt, men han er der i hvert fald.
Ja. Han er i hvert fald et andet sted, han er ikke herhjemme. Der tænkte jeg, okay, den bliver hård for dem.
Oh my god, har du set en story i dag, Paula? Mantis?
No, med pingvinerne?
Yeah.
Sometimes I wonder what my life would be like if we still lived in Denmark. In the beginning, I was very sad and I missed my family and friends. And I got rejected most of the time because I was the weird new kid, kind of.
Galapagos.
Galapagos? Yeah. Nej, det er smukt.
My dad is very committed to everything I do. I sometimes find myself in a spot where he's actually more committed than myself. But I do think that's healthy for me. I do think that's an important feature in life to have, that if you're going to commit, you're going to go all in. And I definitely think that's something my dad is also trying to teach me. And I think he's succeeding in that.
He's someone that has really, really pushed me throughout my life to just do better even when I really did not want to.
Go for it.
I think what my dad's created is very cool, but I can't really use it yet because I don't drink wine.
He's a very big believer that school is a lot, but it's not everything, and you need to do something on the side.
Ja, det tror jeg. Jeg er blevet valgt til at blive account executive.
Oh my god.
Så jeg får extra credit.
When I get older, I want to be a surgeon. And that's kind of going away from what my dad was. But yeah, that's what I want to be when I grow up.
My father's entrepreneurship is something I'm definitely inspired by it, and I learn a lot from. I could definitely see myself in the entrepreneurship business.
I don't know if I am an entrepreneur. I think my brother's more of an entrepreneur. He'll definitely go somewhere big. I want to be part of a big company, and I would love to help grow them up, but I'm not going to be a CEO. I think I'm more of a PR person, which is what I'm studying, so.
Jeg begynte å arbeide etter det godt 3 år at vi var flott her over. Jeg helt knappt at jeg heier tøyna til det. Bøttene er opptøygen, så skulle jeg utfylle min dag litt.
Igennem årene, tror du så, du er gået glip af noget?
Det har man jo, det har man jo. Men man har jo rejst lidt for meget og været lidt for meget væk. Det er der ingen tvivl om. Når jeg har været der, så har jeg prøvet at være der så meget jeg kan. Det her synes jeg er vigtigt, og det synes jeg lykkes meget godt. Men jeg har bare ikke været der nok.
Har det været det værd?
Det er simpelthen et godt spørgsmål.
Do you think you've been a good father?
I think we'll have to wait for 20 years and see how the kids turn out. I think somebody else should be the judge of that. I want to give them some experiences, but I also don't want to protect them too much.
Han får aldrig att vara annan än universitetare. Han är helt säkert också annan i Johan och akkurat nu, för att det vet jag inte. Men det är typiskt Heini.
After we did the switch, I sort of handed over to Chris and said, Chris, this is it. You're running this thing now. He's the man now. He's going to take care of this company, and I need to back off. At that point, I realized, okay, there's definitely a hole here. My obsession needs to go somewhere. So I started a YouTube channel where I give founders, entrepreneurs advice on how to build their companies. I'm the founder of Vivino. I always rap. In this video, we will look at the numbers that determine if your startup is going to be a success or not. I will tell you exactly what numbers you need to track to make your startup a success. This is Raw Startup. The first videos were, not that amazing, but I like doing things that are difficult. I always run my business by the numbers. We're 34 million users and 20,000 new users joining us every single day. Hey, Brian.
Hi.
How are we doing?
Good, how are you?
It's such a pleasure to meet you, Dean. Fantastic to have the time to take the call here. It's been fun, but it's been really, really hard. I'm sort of used to having a certain amount of success, and this does not look like success right now. So we're super frustrated that nothing's happening with the channel and so on.
Where'd you kind of want to be, or where do you want to go with it?
Yeah, that's a good question. So it sort of started out as something I wanted to give back, right? I speak to a lot of startups, and I've had a lot of help from amazing founders that have helped me get to where I am.
First of all, your material is really good because you've done it. So what's good is that you talked about your time with Vivino and growing it, and it's something that no one else has.
Almost makes me more frustrated that I have 560 subscribers, and I look at it and I think this is not amazing, but it's better than this, and why am I not getting any more?
It's going to take time to grow a subscriber base from essentially zero. It doesn't matter who you are.
It's been good, and it's been a change, and there's a different pressure on, it's been good. Thank you very much. See you, bye. And I'm super fascinated by YouTube as a medium, and I love to be a part of that. Being an underdog, again, I like that. That's what motivates me. I think I have more time with the family. I think we do more things together, and I think that's great.
Going to space to find another race. Some say to waste, and some they rest their case. I got love in my own place. To me, to waste is chase. I find no trace in you. You gotta take your time, free your mind, leaving you and me behind. the taste.